to mitigate plastic pollution in ASEAN and launching IKHAPP Southeast Asia Office in ASEAN Expert Survey on Plastic Waste Management. My name is Jihan Hairun Amala, and I will be a moderator of today's event. This webinar will be recorded, conducted online via Zoom, and live streaming on CSEAS TV YouTube channel. This event has been organized by the Center for Southeast Asian Studies Indonesia and the Norwegian Institute for Water Research with the support of the International Knowledge Hub Against Plastic Pollution, or IKHAPP, and GIZ. To let you know a little bit more, IKHAPP is a global initiative led by scientists together and share critical knowledge about plastic pollution, including its causes, impacts, and solutions. In 2021, IKHAPP.org was launched, and it hosts a knowledge hub where a scientific network collaborates to produce and distribute policy briefs, working papers, and other publications. IKHAPP's mission is to collect, critically analyze, and disseminate scientific knowledge to support effective policies and action to fight plastic pollution globally. IKHAPP opened new office in Southeast Asia. IKHAPP appointed Center for Southeast Asian Studies as regional office in Southeast Asia. IKHAPP Southeast Asia office launched on today, 30 April 2024. The launching of IKHAPP Southeast Asia together with the commemoration of Earth Day 2024. Earth Day 2024 theme is Planet versus Plastic, Commitment to End Plastics for the Sake of Human and Planetary Health. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's dive into the excitement and watch the official video launch of the IKHAPP Southeast Asia office together.
Why IKHAPP is important. Plastic pollution has recently entered the global environmental agenda as one of the big challenges confronting humanity. The problem is growing rapidly and is linked to a range of different environmental issues, including habitat destruction, biodiversity loss, human health, food security, chemical pollution, flood prevention, and climate mitigation. While plastic pollution is a global problem, drivers and consequences vary considerably from region to region or country to country. Technological, economic, and social development are also important factors that influence the extent of plastic pollution and identification of appropriate solutions. In order to fight the problem on a global level, local and regional insights are thus key. We, as a scientific community, need to make sure to build on each other's strengths and combine our efforts to answer the societal demand for knowledge and effective solutions. We believe that by building a scientific community and drawing on shared knowledge and expertise, the International Knowledge Hub can contribute to inspire better decisions and actions around the world.
Thank you for enjoying the launching of video IKHAPP Southeast Asia office. We have a distinguished speakers today who have all kindly agreed to share their wisdom with us. Without further ado, I'm now very pleased to introduce our speakers who will provide us with further insight and perspective on these important issues. We have with us today Dr. Arisman, Executive Director, Center for Southeast Asian Studies Indonesia, Pius Dawan, Principal Advisor and Project Director, GIZ, for ASEAN German Project on Reduce, Reuse, Recycle and Protect Coral Reef and Marine Environment, or 3R PROMA, Marianne Mosberg, Researcher Section for International Environment and Development, Norwegian Institute for Water Research. Please be aware that you have the ability to use the chat box on Zoom or CSEAS YouTube Live, and you may post questions to our speaker. We ask you that provide your name and affiliation and make note which speaker you're addressing the question to, and we'll try to answer them at the end of this event. Our first speaker will be Dr. Arisman, the Executive Director of Center for Southeast Asian Studies Indonesia. Please, Dr. Arisman, the floor is yours.
Okay. Can you hear me, Jihan? Okay. Just a second. Yeah. First of all, I would like to give my appreciation, high appreciation to our colleague from IKHAPP in Oslo, in Norway. Today, the objective of this webinar, actually, we would like to launch our regional hub and also launch ASEAN survey on plastic waste management. As we know that yesterday just there's a discussion and meeting in Ottawa regarding the international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution, including marine environment, or we call it INC4. All the delegates discussed the revised the zero draft compiled by the ASEAN, by the Secretariat. They discussed so many topics, including the plastic along its life cycle, primary polymer, product design, and waste management, including EPR. Of course, they also discuss the means of implementation, including financing, capacity building, and technology transfer. I also believe that scientists from Scientist Coalition also will be already there to provide scientific evidence on plastic pollution for the negotiator at INC4. Yeah, I just want to share my views about why we need a better data to mitigate plastic pollution in ASEAN. I would like to start with, as we know that ASEAN, I call it not blaming, but this is because of the landmark paper by Jambeck in 2015 that ASEAN member states contribute to the marine plastic pollution. In the response for that, many ASEAN member states develop national action plan, which is also there's a support from the World Bank to develop ASEAN regional action plan for combating marine debris in ASEAN member states 2021 until 2035. This is the story began for ASEAN itself, and why plastic pollution as emerging issues for the environmental issues. Of course, not only the ocean, including river, landfill, and we believe that one of the powerful tools which is how to get the data and how to synchronize the data by using this data to get make the decision maker informed, and then how they develop strategy to mitigate the plastic pollution issues or problem. Data, which is like us as a research center or think tank, we believe is play a pivotal role in tackling plastic pollution across its entire life cycle, from production to disposal, by collecting and analyzing the data of plastic waste generation, consumption pattern, and waste management practices. We can get a crucial insight that inform policy decision and driving the systemic change. Next. Okay. In order to make a better decision, all the actors must address these three critical data needs. The first is understanding the challenge with timely, locally relevant baseline data, which is a lot of initiative in the region to collect the data with different methodology. And then the second, monitoring and evaluating progress impact using cost-effective method that deliver actionable data. This is also important when we are talking about cost-effective. So we believe in ASEAN also is one of the challenges is data is a cost, one of the barrier, yeah, the cost. And then the third one, assuring results are delivering as intended. This is related to, we are talking about globally accepted standard and method. That's why a lot also initiative about harmonize the method to do the data collection in the region, especially for ASEAN member state. The challenge is, of course, the standard is of data, which is when we are talking about standard of data collection methodology protocol and ensure the consistency and comparability across the region. This is need a collaboration among government, business sectors, and researchers or academia, we call it. Like this afternoon, the participant who registered to this webinar, 207, including government, business sector, and universities. They join with Zoom and also by YouTube. So yeah, I would like to conclude my introduction by it's very clear that clearly communication and the meaningful data is the power of how to influence key stakeholders that how to tackle the plastic pollution, especially from the government side when they want to design the policy, like we are talking about plastic waste reduction or recycling and other issue related to plastic pollution. And then the second, the effort to quantify the problem and measure the impact to reduce is just getting underway. Even there is a wealth of information has been produced, there's still a gap that need to be bridged in order to gain clarity around what and how to measure. Because all the initiative is scattered and this is not need a coordination and also communication among the actors. And this is to address the critical gap regarding the finding effective solution. I think that's all from my side. Look forward to a discussion. Thank you so much. I think that's all from me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arisman. Your presentation was truly informative. And then our next speaker is Pius Dawan, Principal Advisor and Project Director GIZ for ASEAN German Project on Reduce, Reuse, Recycle to Protect Coral Reef and Marine Environment, or 3R Promar. Please, Pius, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Jihan. Thank you, Dr. Arisman, for this opportunity for inviting me to this webinar, and also big congratulations for a couple of things. First is, of course, the launch of the Southeast Asian office for IKHAPP, so much needed and very nice to have a renowned institute now also in Southeast Asia. So this is where all we have the challenges and also the opportunities. So I'm very looking forward to contribute and work with IKHAPP here. And also really looking forward to the ASEAN expert survey on plastic waste management. I think it's also very timely, Dr. Arisman, especially after the INC process has finished yesterday. So it would be very useful to see what do we make from the regional level now to from global level now to regional and then to national level. So that would be also very helpful for ASEAN member states. For our listeners, I just wanted to mention about GIZ. It's the German Technical Cooperation. We are working in 130 countries, including ASEAN countries. Here in Indonesia and ASEAN, I manage the Reduce, Reuse, Recycle project to combat marine debris and protecting the coral reefs, or 3R Promar in short. The project works at 3 levels. So it works at regional level, where we work with ASEAN member countries, and especially with Cambodia, Indonesia, Cambodia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Philippines. And then we also work at local levels in many cities across the 4 countries, including if you have many colleagues from Indonesia, then it's in Manado, in North Sulawesi, and Iloilo in Philippines, Aceh province in Cambodia, and then also in Vietnam in Soc Trang province. So these are 4 locations where we are actively working for the past 3 years. The project still goes on until next year. And as Jihan mentioned, the name of the project, Reduce, Reuse, Recycle, we can't really operate without good data and without good baseline data. So what the project does is at the regional level, we work with the ASEAN member states, and we are creating something known as a knowledge hub, a regional knowledge hub. But I'm very happy to mention that we are working very closely with NIVA or IKHAPP in this case. So already nice to see the linkages to CSEAS here. And along with that, we are working with the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN, or ERIA, that we know and in this part of the world, and also with the AIT. So what we do is at the regional level, we create a knowledge hub with these three partner institutions. And I could say that on a day-to-day basis, we really are focused towards getting good data. As you can imagine, and I think Dr. Isman, you mentioned about the ASEAN Regional Action Plan on Marine Litter, which is going from 2020 to 2025. There is a lot of mention around good data and data sharing. So I'm very happy to mention that in this knowledge hub, the three institutions, they work together very closely, and they're very open to share data and ensure that we can all learn from each other. So that's also very commendable to see research institutions, so that they don't work in silos, but they are really working on good data, and why not share it? So that really helps us in designing better interventions in all the pilot sites. At the same time, I don't know if you know, but I could also mention it here. GIZ has also made another tool known as the waste flow diagram, which is quite a renowned tool, I must say. This we developed with University of Leeds, EVAC, Sandec, and Waste Aware some years ago. This tool is already quite useful. We have pilot tested this tool in more than 24 countries and 150 cities. And what we do is then we try to compare this data along different cities, and this looks into really the tool looks into the amount of solid waste that leaks into the nature and oceans from various resources. And what I could do is I could share the link here for people to look into, so many of the participants can see how much waste is generated and then leaked in your own cities, and then look out for options how to work around it. So this is also an open source data that GIZ is. We are happy it's also through public funding to share it with scientific communities through then use. I'm also very happy to share that with NIVA, we are working on a couple of very important interventions which directly contributes to the regional action plan on marine litter. So first is, of course, as NIVA has been working a lot on microplastics. So we are now trying to use this tool, which could be transferred to our knowledge hub as well. And so that ASEAN member states can also work on it. Maybe Mariana would speak about it a bit later. If not, I'm happy to discuss that during the question and answer round. And also, according to the ASEAN Regional Action Plan on Marine Litter, there is a significant demand for data on microplastics. So this is one that we don't really have enough data. And with IKHAPP, we are now working on a report on microplastics, which would be launched very soon. Which what it does is it takes a stock take of studies and projects and policy measures and knowledge gaps, and also offers recommendations to really leverage the information that we have. Yeah, so all that said, I'm really looking forward to working with CSEAS and also with IKHAPP in the next years, and really big congratulations to both these institutions to really start this discussion in this part of the world in ASEAN. Yeah, thank you. I give it back to Jihan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pius, for sharing such valuable insight. With that, I would like to hand the floor over to Marianne Mosberg, Researcher Section for International Environment and Development, Norwegian Institute for Water Research. Please, Marianne, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Jihan. Can you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. So thank you also for the informative presentations from Dr. Arifman and from Piyush Dhawan from GIZ. You have already now presented the background of this survey that we have developed. So I will focus mostly on the survey itself in this presentation, but I would be happy to discuss more on other issues that we're working on, because this survey complements a lot of the other activities that we at the Norwegian Institute of Water Research is working on, especially in the ASEAN region, on microplastics, marine plastics, and plastic pollution in general. So this survey has been developed by the International Knowledge Hub against plastic pollution. And this is part of the Norwegian research-funded project, Asian Scientific Alliance for Plastic Pollution and Value Network Management. So let me see if I can manage to. There you go. So the aim of this survey is to shed light on the existing uncertainties surrounding plastic waste mismanagement estimates. And this survey is motivated, like my colleagues at CSEAS and already presented, that it's very much motivated by this need for better data on plastic waste in the world, and that currently the only thing we have is estimates based on models that do not necessarily accurately mirror the reality. And we want to assess more of what information do we currently have on plastic waste, and what is the range of uncertainty that remains of the data that we have. So the objective of this survey is to collect plastic waste related data from different types of experts in the ASEAN region to gain then a better understanding of the uncertainties of plastic waste mismanagement and the sources of marine plastic pollution in the ASEAN region. And hopefully the outcome will develop knowledge that will be instrumental in identifying more effective strategies for managing plastic waste and mitigating environmental impacts and health impacts, I might add. So the survey target audience is the stakeholders from various backgrounds. So we envision government staff, civil servants working, for example, for environmental ministries, waste management departments, policymakers, academia, including research institutes, universities, international organizations and non-governmental organizations that might be working on plastic pollution or waste management, as well as industry representatives working on plastic production or packaging and waste management. And the timeline of the survey is that it's being launched today, so April 30th, 2024, and it will end on May 15th, so only 2 weeks to give people time to finish it, but hopefully give us data so that we can have something to share quite soon on the survey results. And on research ethics, this survey has already gotten ethics approval from the Norwegian Agency for Shared Services in Education and Research. It's complying with EU regulations on General Data Protection Regulation. The personal data will be stored here at NIVA in Oslo securely on our server, and personal data is only available to the facilitators of the survey. And of course, it's only based on informed consent of everyone who participates. So when you open the link that I will share at the end of this presentation, you will get information about the survey, and then you need to answer yes or no to give consent. And on the page here, there is a PDF document that explains more about ethics and data protection. And we will make everyone that participates in this survey anonymous, especially in publications and when we discuss findings from this. If you want, at the end of the survey, it is possible to add your name and email to allow our team to follow up if there is something that we would like to ask survey participants about, but that is completely optional. So you don't need to feel obliged to answer that, and you can remain completely anonymous. So here at the end, you can add if you want. So now about the structure of the survey. The survey starts with some personal information, age, gender, education, type of education and education level, as well as the job title, function, and type of work related to plastic waste management or not. And then it's an important piece is the question about the place of work and residence. So to show you in the survey, we're asking which country, region, province, and city municipality you live in. And in this survey, we're asking for estimates on plastic waste generation, trade, and management. So when we here get the answers from you, we need to know which country, which region, which city do these estimates refer to. So this is the only question in the survey that is mandatory to answer. And we split it because we know that some people might be living in one country or one region or one city, but work in another. So you can here answer either that you live and work in the same place, or if you live and work separately, you can add information about that. And then at the end, you need to answer if the estimates that you provide in the survey refer then to the country where you live, or region, city where you live, or the country, region, city where you work. And following this personal information at the start of the survey, we will ask some general information about the population size, urbanization rate, and coastal population size in the country that you live or work in, depending on which you are answering questions about. And then it's the part 2 is on plastic waste generation. We're looking here for the trends in solid waste and plastic waste generation in your countries and region and city municipality. We're looking for trends in plastic waste recycling and leakage to the ocean. We're looking for the main sources of marine plastic pollution in your country. We would like to ask the respondents to assess the quality of the waste management system in your country. And then we have a question about the uncertainties of plastic waste estimates, knowing that in most countries of the world, there are uncertainties, inaccuracies in plastic waste estimates. So we're wondering if you could provide some assessment on some of the reasons why there are potential inaccuracies in current estimates in your country. And then we have a question on how much solid waste is generated in your country, region, and city per year. And then how would you assess the range of uncertainty? And I will show you how to answer this question or give more information about this question afterwards. Linked to this is also how much plastic waste within the total of solid waste is being generated, and how you assess the range of uncertainty. So with this one, what you will see is that there is a question for you to answer with estimates in metric tons for the country. So if, for example, you work for a government agency and your agency has just published some numbers on the amount of solid waste that is generated, you can answer here that in the country, this is how much. And then please insert which year the estimates refer to, because it can be that you have access to data from 2023, and that would be perfect. That's what we would like, but sometimes we don't have so updated data. So then if you only have data from 2022 or 2021, please insert those numbers and write that these estimates refer to 2021 or 2022. So we want within 1 year how much solid waste is generated and which year this refers to. And then we also want to know where is this number coming from. There is a drop-down menu there where you can answer if it's coming from your own research or from official statistics or Wikipedia, where you got it from. And if the source is not listed in our drop-down menu, please add here where these numbers originate from. And then we have a very important question is, if you believe these estimates might be uncertain, how would you assess their range of uncertainty? And here we have a drop-down menu where you can assess if you think these numbers about solid waste generation is completely certain. If they are 5 to 10% uncertain, so there might be 5 or 10% plus minus in the amount here. It can also be all the way up to more than 100%. That means that if the assessment is that, or the estimate says that there are 15 million metric tons of solid waste generated in the country, then maybe it can be double that, so 30 million metric tons instead. And of course, if you don't know, just answer, I don't know. And it's also possible to leave all of these boxes blank if you don't know. But what we're really looking for is the people that might have some data here to share. And then following this, there is the second part of these questions is if you think that these estimates that you have provided here are not completely accurate, if you think that that it might not be 15 million metric tons, but it might be 20 million metric tons or up to 30, maybe maximum, then you please answer minimum estimates. So these are just your own estimates of what do you think is the minimum amount of solid waste generated in the location per year, and what would you assess to be the maximum amount, that it will probably not be more than something. Yeah, so we know that this is probably a bit difficult to answer for many, but we're really hoping that some people might be willing to share their ideas of what could be the minimum and maximum amounts of waste. Then the third part of the survey looks at plastic waste treatment. We're here answering or asking about which waste treatment types is contributing to plastic waste leakage to the ocean or river, the amount of plastic waste leakage from your country, and again, assessing the range of uncertainty of these estimates, and amount of plastic waste that goes through different treatment types in your country, and percentage of total plastic waste produced that is collected by informal waste pickers. This is a topic that my colleagues at NIVA is working a lot on, so that is why we're especially interested in this topic of informal waste workers. And the fourth part of the survey is on plastic waste trade. We're here looking for the trends in plastic waste imports and exports, the types of plastic objects included in plastic waste imports and exports, and the amounts of plastic waste imported to your country. And again, we know that a lot of this data is difficult to assess, also because there are some legal and illegal trade. So we're just looking for the data that is available. So if you have data on this, please share. If you don't, then just leave the questions blank. And we're here also looking for assessments of the range of uncertainty. So how certain is estimates of plastic waste imports and exports to and from your country. And then at the end of the survey, we have this question: if you would be willing to allow our team to contact you if you have further questions, which you can answer with your name and email. Otherwise, just leave it blank and you will remain anonymous. So here is the survey. You can all hold up your phones and open the camera, and then you will get into the survey. And then please answer before the 15th of May. There is also a link that you can follow. I will leave it up for a minute in case you're still trying to access it. And if you have any questions, then afterwards in the Q&A, I would be happy to answer more of these questions. So thank you so much for the attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marianne, for your presentation. It was truly informative. I wanted to thank all of our speakers for sharing your thoughts. I think it's been a great presentation, and I think it's set the stage nicely for good discussion in the last minute here. And the question I have on the chat box on YouTube Live, and this is going to GIZ and Nifa. The question is, could you share the example of successful data collection initiative or methodologies that have been implemented in other regions, and how could they be adapted or replicated in ASEAN? Maybe Pius or Marianne, would you like to respond the question first, please? Maybe Pius?
Okay, thank you, Jihan. So thank you for your question. Again, going back to our waste flow diagram, the WTT tool, I've shared also the link with you. You can have a look at it. It's something that we have built, already used in 24 countries, 150 cities, and this is quite sophisticated tool, I must say, where you can get really good data depending on different cities. And if you again decide to use this methodology, it's all open source. There are also a lot of videos to tell you how to use this tool, and ideally it also helps you visualize it. So it's not only about data gathering, but also data visualization and identifying, like patterns that could be used. We use such tools to then work with local governments and then national governments also in trying to, of course, cross-check the data that we have with the local and the national governments, and whether our findings are in alignment, or if there's some errors, then we can always look into it. So this is just one of the examples here, but I am sure many other institutions have different methodologies and examples which could be better tailored for the cities. Yeah. So maybe I also pass it on to Mariana to take this up. Yeah.
Thank you, Pius, for your response. Please, Mariana.
So much. Actually, I would like to ask my colleague Luca at NIVA to maybe address this question, because he has a much longer experience working with this than myself. Luca, would you be willing to?
Hi, can you hear me? Yes. First of all, thank you very much for nice to see you all together, and thank you very much all of you for introducing both IKHAPP Southeast Asia, but also this survey. Yes, I would emphasize the effort that is being developed in the region that Pius just described. Those are, we recognize there is it's very difficult to obtain high quality data in this context. I doubt there is any validated gold standards. There is a general effort, not only in the region, but internationally, to achieve harmonization, to achieve consistency in methodologies, classification. And this effort is not yet, didn't yet achieved the maximum level of development. There is some work to do, but this should not prevent doing monitoring. And in fact, the reason why we are launching this survey is indeed a way to assess confidence, trust that you as experts have on the data that are produced. So this is the surveys you can see as a checkpoint to actually evaluate quality. And quality also means trust and confidence that experts active in the region have towards the data. We found that being very important. So the short answer is that there is a general international effort to build up a good system. We need still to face challenges, but we also need tools and instruments to check the progress and the quality of data. So, and I think that this joint venture here today is bringing all these three elements together. Okay, and of course, it's a multi-stakeholder, multi-actor approach. As you know, tracking plastic litter sources and release to the ocean is actually very, very difficult, and it requires input, data, and contribution from many actors along the value chain of plastic and plastic waste management. Thank you.
Thank you, Luca, for your response. And then we have the second question. It's going to be all speakers. The question is, what do you think are the challenges in collecting data on plastic pollution within the diverse and dynamic landscape of ASEAN countries? Maybe Dr. Arisman, could you please? Yeah.
Sorry, Jihan, could you repeat the question?
Okay.
Sorry, I can't hear.
Okay, the question is, what do you think are the challenges and collecting data on plastic pollution within the diverse and dynamic landscape of ASEAN countries?
Yeah, I think I absolutely agree with Luca, Dr. Luca from IFA that, yeah, of course, all the scientists already doing their job, but now also the challenge not only collecting the data, but also how to bridging the data to the policymaker. That's the important issue as well. We have experience with NIFA in the past. We have a forum for how data become from science to policy. So this is another issue as well. So regarding the methodology, of course, this is it's a very diverse competence standard methodology. So yeah, it required multi-stakeholders working together for all the stakeholders. Like today, we can see from the participant is very interest from the private sector, from the recycling industry, from the government as well, including the university. So not only about academic exercise, it's also about how to make the data more actionable. I think that's from me. Thank you.
Thank you for your response, Dr. Arisman. Maybe Pius? Would you like to answer the question?
I mean, I could just say from our experience, data gathering, it's not an easy exercise in all these countries, also very different, like with the data that we get from all the countries. I think it has to be a very interesting mix, of course, of so what we do is we always try to triangulate this information. So of course, one is the public data that's readily available, and then we have our own methodology to take it up, and plus minus, of course, there's an error that we look into it. But often we also go to universities to see whether a similar sampling size has been done in the city so that the information could be triangulated, and then only we take it up. We always then try our best to open our data and try to publish it also on the government websites at the local level, especially, and now also at the national level, which takes a lot of time because also for the government, they need to see, like there are different methodologies. So I must say it's not too easy to work, and I come from a policy background, so not from a scientific one, but from our side, it's quite important to have at least a consensus on saying this is the baseline data and this is what we now do in the next 3-4 years. Yeah. So for example, in our case, where we are working in North Sulawesi, it was quite difficult to get baseline data because our project outcome is to reduce the waste leakage by 20% in 3 years. But without proper data, we can't really, commit to saying, okay, 20% reduction is there. Also, the data keeps on changing. So just to give you an example, when we did an initial analysis of data in 2019, the waste has now increased almost 3 times. And then that means the leakage is also increasing. So that requires even more effort, and also more public spending, more spending in terms from the government to tackle the leakage. So yeah, it is quite important to have the data. We always request agencies to keep it public, and so that we can triangulate it and then work with the government to see and agree on steps for the duration of the project. Yeah. Yep. I think Luca would go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that this word you mentioned, triangulation, is actually exactly what we do, to build confidence. So it's not just a single approach, it's multiple approach and need to be consistent. So I bring forward the perspective of a more technical. I'm a scientist. From our side, we can contribute to this actually societal challenge of tracking plastic leakages by developing tools. And those tools include protocols, methodologies, standardized way and harmonized way to classify the waste in category, typology, materials, and their sources. This is work on the go and is actually assimilated by the projects here, the GIZ project and other projects in the region taking care of this. We are also, as a scientific community, we provide also data management tools, such as models of sources and transport of plastic from land to the ocean, for example. These are a sophisticated data management tool where you should be able to fit in your data and obtain a comprehensive and consistent assessment of the mass flows. It's driven by environmental processes, societal processes, waste management approaches, and the model should give you the number. So the combination, for example, of these models with the data is a potentially good approach, a way forward to have a continuous assessment and averaging over time to avoid the problem of temporal variabilities, understanding long-time trends, and actually save some money, because actually monitoring costs a lot of money. It's very difficult, and combining models and monitoring, you can help filling up some gaps and save also some money. So this survey will also be instrumental to consolidate the confidence in the models, and thanks to the interaction with through the 3R from our projects and NIVA background experience, we will make these models available and hopefully will be in use in the future by you as experts. We will also offer possibility of obtaining training on these models. They are basically sophisticated mathematical tools, but we are working on interface to enable easy deployability. And they can also be used to take action. So also the link to combat plastic pollution. So they can provide the useful information for configuring future scenarios, and these scenarios are useful to convey messages to the policymakers. Okay, they need to take decision, and they need consolidated, comprehensible perspective of what a decision, what type of impact a decision will have in future scenarios. So thank you. Sorry, I went a little bit broad, but I wanted to give the overall picture of what this action is about. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your response, Luca. And then we have a question on the chat box live YouTube. The question is going to all speakers. The question is, can IKHAPP become a data center for plastic pollution? Maybe from NIVA first.
I think that we are ourselves, we see ourselves as knowledge broker. So we are an independent scientific community. We can help build up the tools to create data set, high quality data set. I don't see IKHAPP itself should be the repositories of data. We are repositories of knowledge, but the data is a collective achievement and done by a society that's looking to its own environment, its own context. So maybe for that scope, data set should be open, should be accessible with all metadata. We should find a common home for that, right? So actually we are building a regional knowledge hub, which could be the expression of this collective effort to create data. So I would rather see NIVA and IKHAPP contributing, and CSEAS, which is also part of IKHAPP starting from today, contributing to that collective effort to build data that sits in a collective home. I don't know if this reflects also your view, Piyush and Arisman.
Okay, thank you for your response. Maybe Dr. Arisman?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Luca about repository of knowledge. Since IKHAPP is we call it a group of scientists, and also we also can learn from each other. So I'm a bit happy when Luca mentioned about the possibility of training, because like in the past, we also in our project ASEAN First One, we have a microplastic analysis training online. That time is attended like more than 400 participants from ASEAN countries. I believe the participant joined today not only would like to support the survey, but also they also looking for any possibilities like to upgrade in capacity building. So I think IKHAPP with their knowledge and network, I think we can learn from each other. I think yeah, I agree with Luca, not a data center, but a repository of knowledge, and then we can continue. This is not only launching, maybe we can follow up by another online training, either microplastic and other related plastic issues. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arisman, for your response. Maybe Pius, do you have?
Yeah, very briefly, I think, I mean, our role as GIZ is a facilitator between government and scientific bodies. And these topics like microplastics, especially on data, better data management is high on the agenda in our ASEAN working group, especially ASEAN working group on coastal and marine environment. These are the discussions that we have in our internal groups. And definitely, I think it would be very useful if we could use the knowledge generated, so that the policymakers in the region can then really, use that information and knowledge to make good decisions. So it has to go both ways. Yeah, I think first is, of course, the Global Plastic Treaty, and now the action plan, what they decide in the next month. So there would be, as you know, the last INC discussion in December in Korea, and then there would be a treaty, hopefully by the end of the year. And at the same time, our work with the scientific coalitions is very useful to ensure that the national action plans are really, something that we can build up next year. Yeah. So yeah, looking forward. I'm really happy to see the traction on this topic from all sides, and excited to work on this. Yeah.
Thank you, Pius, for your response. And we have a question from chat box Zoom from Nina. Will the result of this data collection be shared open source? Will contributor be credited? Maybe from Niva, from IKHAPP, can answer first.
Yeah, absolutely. Marianne, maybe you want to address this question?
Yes, I was thinking to say that yes, the data will be shared open source. About crediting contributors, the only challenge we have there is about the balance between anonymity and crediting contributors. So those who would like to be credited would need to then add their name and email address, because otherwise we don't know who have participated. And Yeah, so depending on that, we will contact the people who have stated their name and email address and ask if they would like to be credited and how we're going to do that. Because I understand that people will spend time and energy on gathering this data and would like to be credited for that work. And of course, we would like to make sure that we do that while balancing research ethics and the GDPR rules from European Union. So yes, we will try to make it
We
as open as possible.
Can I add that if you
Yes.
put your name and contacts information, we will reach out and ask you to provide directly your statement about the willingness of contributing. We plan to, the data set will be openly available for everyone. There will be possibly also scientific publication emerging from that, and it is everyone that contributed to the data participation and has a will of following up towards the production of this publication, you will be placed in the position of doing so. So all of you that have this interest, please provide your contacts and we will reach you and we'll start collaborating towards the developments of the knowledge products that will emerge from this. So it's total open science from our side. It is very important that this message is clear.
Okay, thank you, Luca and Marianne. And then we have a question from Ian. Would this training be available this year? Maybe Dr. Arisman, would you like to answer this question?
Okay, from our side, since we have a project called ASEAN Phase 2, one of the component is capacity building for the methodology for plastic monitoring, something like that. One of the component, if I'm not mistaken, is about inter-laboratory calibration, also about microplastic analysis. I think we will come back to you soon. So we also hope that because like a lot of topic for training, but the one needed by ASEAN scientists is more important. So maybe after this we reach out to you with like a simple question about what kind of training you would like to have, because we already have some training it's already in our YouTube channel about microplastic analysis. But if you're more technical and yeah, I think we have to discuss with IKHAPP, especially NIFA, who's a leading institution in the region, and also to talk with other expertise. I think, yeah, we will inform all the participants soon about the training, but for sure from the ASEAN Phase 2 project, we have one component about capacity building. So yeah, we'll inform you soon about the training. Thank you.
Yeah, please, please, Luca.
I would like to add that also in relation to the cooperation with GIZ, we are planning a training webinar to introduce the models that I mentioned earlier, a model describing sources and transport of plastic pollution. This is something we are trying to do in collaboration with the AIT and of course GIZ. There is a provisional date for that event. It will be towards the end of May. We will share the information about this webinar with all of you. Make sure that this will be a good entry point to start learning about models, which are important tools in the context of tracking and managing plastic pollution.
Thank you, Luca, for your response. Pius, do you want to add something?
I just wanted to add, I'm really happy with this collaboration. Yeah, nice to see, like how things are moving. So it's not about our project and what we are doing. So it's a good example of how we are collaborating now. It's not only, of course, AIT area and IKHAPP, but also with CSEAS. So wherever we try to see linkage, we try to use our contacts so that it all benefits like the listeners of this call. So we make sure at least if there's any interesting conversation or any interesting training that is there, then this is duly noted that we'll also share it in this group. And then perhaps through CC's contacts, we can share these and ensure, like there's good dissemination of information, and also we get good quality people on our webinars here. So I'm very happy, looking forward.
Thank you very much, Piers, for your response, and thank you very much for all participation in this event. Due to limited of time, maybe we cannot respond all question in this webinar. Maybe we can respond. We will respond the question by email. I would like to give thanks to all speakers for taking their time to share their thoughts and perspective at this event. It's been truly valuable for everyone. Also, many thanks to all of you around the world who have tuned in through the various channels to follow this webinar. Look forward to near collaboration with us, and thank you and have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
Pius.
Yeah.
Thank you, Luca.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.